tailgate down.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Direct Motocross Tailgating, brought to you by the great people at Scott Sports Canada, Mika Sports Canada. We're here, Strictly MX, MP1, Mike Parliament. How's it going?
Good, man, good.
We're down here, we're getting ready for Hamilton Supercross, the last round. Direct Motocross, Blackstock Motorsports. We've brought in a special rider, and unfortunately our equipment wasn't up to par, so we brought it to you, Mike, and maybe tell us a little bit about what you had to do for us.
Well, we just had to get it all set up for you. I mean, that was your bike, obviously, so I think Cade's a little bit quicker, a little bit heavier, so we just had to stiffen her up a bit and get her ready for some arena cross.
All right, so we'll go back a little bit. Strictly MX, how'd that start?
Well, that started a long time ago. That's like 2002, maybe? It's been a while. I just loved dirt bikes, raced a lot as a kid, and just wanted to help out and get back into it, and started at it.
Along the way, you've also worked for KTM Canada. I know Northrop was one of your guys.
Yeah.
How long were you with those guys?
I was with those guys for 2 years, so 2008, 2009. I was with Jeff and Andy and all the guys at KTM. Drove the truck too, that was fun. Busy weekends. Busy weekends. And then I was gonna go back in 2011, but I actually moved my shop from where I originally was at my house to this place, which is 4 times bigger, just I was renting a room at the old place, so I just felt that I had to focus more time on being here rather than being on the road. It was great, learned a lot. Go back and forth across the country is tough on a guy when he wants a 9 to 5.
For sure. So you've got MP1. You're MP1.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
MP1, so how it started was I was with Factory Connection for about 10 years when Mike Hayes had it in Canada. When the facility closed in Canada, I dealt with the US for a bit. It just got too costly at that time for guys to ship stuff back and forth. The reality of it is that nobody really liked shipping stuff across the border. Theoretically, the cost was actually the same as it was shipping it to Canada. Just it was the turnaround time that the time was too long. So it just slowly chipped into my profits. So I just had to move on from there. And then I got hooked up with Mike Batista at MB1 for a couple years and learned some more again, and kept learning, kept doing stuff, and then finally just had to go on my own.
What's the toughest thing about suspension?
The toughest thing about suspension is it's different for everybody. And trying to get feedback from guys is a little tougher than you would think. In my experience, everybody's super pumped to get their stuff done and it works real good, and I'm glad to hear that, but sometimes you just like a little bit more feedback of, we want to get it more personal, not so much cookie cutter box settings, and we have the ability to do that, but we need to have the input from riders.
So with suspension, the 2 forks and the rear shock, how do you get the perfect combo? Like to get the shock to match the forks and...
To explain it is not super easy, but the biggest thing is having the springs in balance. If you have one that's too heavy up front, too light in the rear, the bike's gonna ride funny, or vice versa. So we gotta keep riders in balance. How tall the rider is gonna change stuff. Like big tall guys can lean over the back, that's gonna change stuff. Short guys can't get over the back as far, maybe the seat hits them in the butt, whatever. So all kinds of weird stuff that we have to take into account when we're trying to get something set up for you.
Over the years, you've worked for a ton of guys. Who's been the most talented, easiest to work with?
To be honest, they've all been pretty good. Northrop was probably the funnest guy. Like, he likes to have a good time, as most of you guys know. And that was a little nerve-wracking for me because that was my first real experience with big pros at the Nationals. So bit of a learning curve with him, and once we got stuff sorted out, it was really good. And then actually just last summer when Jesse raced my 450 was really, really good too. He had a lot of good feedback, did some testing. I was able to do stuff I wanted to try and do with him, and it always kept going better and better and better. I wish we had more time, and I wish we didn't get 3 flats at RJ's because that sucked.
Moving forward with MP1 and Strictly, what's the big game plan?
The Strictly thing is there. It's, I mean, I've always done motors and stuff. I'm definitely more towards suspension now, and you know, I got more invested tool-wise, component-wise, oil, shims, all that kind of stuff. It's a better fit for me, but we're just going to keep going forward. I'd hope to have a race team in a year or two myself, and get back out there and show what we can do as a company as a whole. I think I'm at the point in my life where I don't need to outsource a lot of stuff like suspension or send motors away, and I think it's going to be beneficial for my business if I can get somebody or some couple guys at the track and brand my stuff, get some more guys working for me.
I think one of the biggest things when I look at suspension is you're visible at all the local races. I'll go to a Madoc National, you're there for the MMRS people, you're at AMO for Galdi, everybody. Does that help?
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it helped. I think where we are in Ontario for suspension guys, there's a lot of guys that do it, a lot of guys don't go to the track. I mean, it's a full-time job to work all week and then basically work all weekend and try to ride myself sometimes. So I think it does help, and I think it just puts a face to the name. It's not just a cold call to some company. And I think, you know, most of the guys say I'm kind of approachable. Some will say not, I'm sure, but it is what it is.
Over the years, is there one memory that sticks out with as being that one breaking moment so far for you?
I think honestly, one of the things that kind of made me feel good about myself was going back to with working with Northrop. There was an incident, I think it was the second or third round, that he had a crash and was kind of upset with his bike and stuff. And at that round, actually, Casey Lido was up as a team manager because Andy couldn't be there. And he came in and Drip was a little upset, I think, and Casey's the one that told him, dude, like Jimmy Nelson did the same thing you did, it was a bad situation, whatever. And whatever, I mean, I felt bad because I didn't know if it was me or something I did, or I think anybody the first year as a mechanic is kind of a little bit nervous that way, and seeing some guy jump 30, 40 feet on a bike, you're prepared hoping that the wheels don't fall off or something, right? So anyway, he came back. At that time, he was bringing suspension back and forth from WP in the States, and he came back with a bunch of settings. You know, this is what it needs to be at, the guys at WP said. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see what it's at right now, because at that point, we didn't ship a suspension back. It was every other round or something. So we went through every clicker, and I was within like 2 clicks of everything that they wanted it set at in the States, and he was just like, guess it wasn't the bike. So then after that, we were golden. I think it was golden.
Perfect. We're going into Hamilton this weekend, like we said. Cade Clason gonna ride the 252 stroke. If he can get up on the whoops, how do you think he'll do?
I think he's probably got a little bit of advantage with the start on a 2-stroke. I mean, he obviously has a lot of indoor experience, bike experience in general. I think if he can get on the whoops, he could potentially podium for sure.
Awesome.
Hopefully we keep him up there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'd like to end it right here, so let's give the people behind you a lot of love.
Behind me?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. No, I got all my suppliers for sure. My wife, she puts up a lot of stuff here for sure. And yeah, just all my customers that come out and you know, I hear a lot of good things, which I really love, and just want to keep it going forward.
Perfect. Well, thanks again. Be sure to look for the number 9 Blackstock Motorsports MP1 Direct Motocross YZ250 on Saturday night. We'd like to thank the great guys at Scott Sports Canada, Mika Sports Canada, and that's another episode of Tailgating. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
All bets are off once you put the tailgate down.
Yeah, I think so. Good enough.